Hello and welcome to the first day of C language classes. So I come to you with a series of a new tutorial that gives you a very good understanding of a fundamental language of C language programming, which also tells you about what is C language and how to write your very first C language program, and later on to write some good complex one too. So I have 3-4 slides here for the day 1. What I called as a day 1 is first introductory session. Alright, so let me quickly give you the an idea, like what's the today agenda, and what are the things we are going to cover today. So the first thing is I want to give you a very quick introduction of us. So we are into giving training to different languages since last 2 years, and after successfully training many of the students, which gives us a very good popularity to our site learn via elearn.com, and hundreds of participants are already get benefited, and many joins every month. With that success and constant demand, we are continuing training with different other subjects like databases, for example MySQL and Oracle. If I talk about front end, we are into Linux and .NET also, and these subjects are very popular all the times. All right, so but these tutorials, mind you, these tutorials are basically self-learned tutorials, but very well versed, very well built around practical work based culture and so on. So what you will see here is not really the theory part of it, but also a lot of practice. Do note that this is not a typical training where we have a bunch of slides or a document or I go through the set of definitions, but we will cover the actual understanding of the concept, logic, and how to apply it while doing programming in a different manner. You can watch some more videos in next coming days, but yes, for the sample videos you can visit our website www.learnviaelearn.com, or you can also reach me through my mail. It's learnviaelearn@gmail.com, or you can add me on Skype. My Skype ID is learnviaelearn. You can contact me also. My number is +918097532341. Alright guys, so let's get started. Let's move on to our second slide. So second slide is first point: who are you and who is this for? So you could be anyone, for example a student or aspiring to IT technology area. You could be working on different stream and trying to switch over out of the field, someone who is beginner in IT field. So you could be anyone, right? So, and now how to become a good programmer now? To become a good programmer, only one thing you need to do is just practice and do lot of practice. I will provide you a lot of material. I will provide you several assignments. I will give you a lot of tips, but you need to do troubleshooting, you need to do a lot of exercises, you need to do uh, a lot of practice, you need to explore as much as possible. All right, and finally we have recaps, questions, quizzes, and assignment after every single class. All right, now, and one more thing, all the assignments which I gave to any class will be discussed on very first instance when we before we start any fresh class, I mean any day class. Okay, so let's start with what is C language basically. Okay, and these are the few agenda which I am going to cover today. Like, what is C language? Why is C language? What are the constants? What are the variables? What are the keywords? And then we will move to a very first program with very baby steps towards our very first program of printing a hello world statement. Okay, so let's start. So what is C language? C language is a programming language developed at AT&T's Bell Laboratory of USA in 1972. It was designed and written by a man named Dennis Ritchie. And why C language? See, an opinion is that often heard today is C has already superseded by different languages like C++, C Sharp, Java, and all. So why bother with C language? Why bother to learn C language today? I believe that nobody can learn C++ or any Java or any language, for example, Java, C Sharp, or anything. I mean, this is because while learning these languages, you have things like classes, you have things like objects, inheritance, polymorphisms, etc. So, learning these complicated concepts when you are not even comfortable with the basic language elements is like putting the cart before the horse. It's really tough for you to understand these things before understanding the basic element of the language. So that's why I highly recommend to first go through with C language, then migrate to some other language of your choice like C Sharp, Java, Oracle, or any language you want. Alright. So firstly, let's take what is constant. Okay, these are the terms like constants, variable, keywords. See, these terms we are going to use very frequently and use throughout you in your life for sure. Okay, so what is constant? A constant is an entity that does not change during the execution of your program. Okay, so constant, what is constant? Constant is an entity, let me write it here, that doesn't changes during the execution of a program. Okay, and we have several types of constants also. Like for example, we have a constant called real constant. We have a constant called integer constant. We have a constant called character. and we have a constant called string. Alright, so what is real constant? Right, real constants is like it must have at least one digit. It must have at least one digit. It must have a decimal point. And with positive or negative, I mean any digit with the positive or negative thing, it could be a real constant. And use of blank spaces and comma are not allowed. No blank spaces and commas. So these are the basic properties of a real constant. For example, it could be 194, for example, like plus 194 dot something, or it could be negative like 43 3 dot something, right? So these are the real constants, right? So now come to integer constants. What are the basic properties of integer constants? Integer constants, it must have at least one digit. Okay, and number two, it should not contain a decimal places. No decimal places. It could be a positive or negative, and there is no blank or comma space. No blank or comma spaces are allowed. For example, like any number, like for example 567, this integer constant. It could be negative 356 345, for example, right? So these are called as an integer constants. Okay, now come to character constants. Character constants, it's a single alphabet. It could be a single alphabet, it could be a single digit, it could be a special character like dollar, right? But it should enclosed in a single quote, right? And the maximum length of character constant is 1. So this is the basic properties of a character constant. For example, any number, any alphabet, for example A, mind you, this should be under single quotes. Any numeric figure, for example 9. Any special character, for example dollar, right? So these are the basic properties of character constant. Now come to a string. It is a collection of characters. Collection of characters. Number one. Number two, it should be enclosed in double quotes. Okay, and it may contain letters, digits, any special character, and even blank space. For example, within quotes, learn space via e-learn. Okay, so these are the property of a string constant. Okay, so what is constant? Constant is an entity that does not changes during the execution of program. Okay, now, and these are the basic constants which we are going to use in almost every program, every complex program, I would say. Okay, now come to variable. What are the variables? What is the variable basically? In any program, we typically do lot of calculation, right? The result of these calculations are stored in computer memory. I'm just giving an example. For example, like human memory, the computer memory also consists of millions of cells. Just consider this example. The calculated value are stored in these cells, for example. Okay, to make the retrieval and usage of these values easy, these memory cells, which is also called as a memory location in C language, in terms of in technical language, are given names, and since these values stored in each location may change, the name given to these location are called variable names. Let me give you an example. For example, let me draw a sample memory location for you. Suppose this is your memory location X, and the value here we have stored is 5. So value is X is equal to 5 here. Later on, during execution of this program, this value changes from 5 to 3, right? This value changes from 5 to 3, right? So we can see the memory location, all the values here is depends upon the how we are executing our program, right? So this 5 value get overwritten by 3, right? Since a memory location can hold only one variable, only one value at a time. Okay, so basically variables are those entities whose values goes changes as per the execution of a program. Okay, however, constants are those entities whose values are always same during the execution of program. Okay, now come to keywords. What is keyword? See, keywords are the words those meanings are already been explained to the C compiler. Basically, keyword cannot be used as a variable name, because if we do so, we are trying to assign a new meaning to the keyword, which is not allowed by the computer. And there are 32 keywords available in C language. For example, auto, double, init, struct, break, else, etc. We will discuss in more details when we move forward, probably in next few chapter. Okay, so let's start with our first C program with baby steps, and see each and every single line how I am writing, and later on I will explain you, right? But before we begin with our first C program, do remember the following rules that are applicable to all C program. Number one, each instruction in a C program is written as a separate statement. Therefore, a complete C program would comprise of a series of statements, right? Blank spaces may be inserted between two words to improve the readability of the statements. However, no blank spaces are allowed within a variable, constants, or any keyword, right? All statements are entered in small case letters only, right? And then every C statement must end with a semicolon. This is called terminator of every statement, semicolon. Okay, now let me open a C for you. In case you don't have C compiler, just drop me a mail. I will give you the turbo C compiler link through which you can download it. Okay, and to run this you just need to go to the location where you have installed turbo C, then under bin just run turbo C tc.exe and you will find this window. Okay, and to open a fresh cpp file, cpp project, just click on file and then new. Team, just remember one thing. I mean, I have made a small change here in my editor. For example, whenever you write anything here, like for example any command, like any statement, like right, this probably could not show in this manner, like the color and texture and all. So but I have changed this to give you a more visibility. There is a setting which I did under option, environment, then editor, and here if you see syntax highlighter, in your compiler it's marked as this, right? I have just removed it, and every text coming in same color. let me give an idea of what happened. Like for example, if I mark this here and press OK, now see the color goes changes, and see it's highlight everything. Like for example, if I write any statement like include dot h something, so it is showing like this only, right? But to give you a more visibility, I have made a small change here, and I have removed this. Oh, sorry, this one, right? Okay. So let me start with my first program, and I'm going to print hello world. But before writing program, I need to write some comment about what I'm going to write. I mean, what this program belongs to. Example, to print hello world. Okay. And the author is my name, like Shailendra. Date, like for example 25/05/2004, for example. Okay. uh, then just have some patience. I'm going to complete this program first, and then I will explain you each and every line here. Then include stdio.h, then include .h, include conio.h, include stdio.h, then void main, and within curly braces okay. And now here we need to write our actual program, right? So let me write C and then this is a very simple and very good example to print a hello world. Now come to the very first line. The first two lines is just to comment something about your program. So this, though this comment is not necessary, but it's a very good practice to begin a program with comment indicating the purpose of the program, and then the author name and the date on which the program was written, right? See, often programmers seems to ignore writing these comments, but when a team is building a big software, well commented code is almost essential for other team members to understand it, right? So it's better to write a comment. Although a lot of comments are probably not necessary in their program, but it is usually the case that programmer tends to use too few comments rather than too many. Okay, you can split this also. For example, if you want to write a comment in two lines, just break this like Okay, and this type of comments are called multi-line comments. And in case you want to comment a single line, you can use this two slashes also. In spite of writing this slash and star, then end with a star, then a slash, you can write just two slashes before any statement. This is called single line comment. Okay, now come to what is this include stdio.h and what is this conio.h. The best way to understand this, just put your cursor to stdio.h or any header files or any keywords and press Ctrl F1. You can see the functions which belongs to these header file. But before that, let me explain what is this stdio stand for and what is this .h. stdio stands for Standard Input Output Library, and .h is the header file extension, right? So we need to include these header file which require the particular program, so that what is the so that we can execute the functions which belongs to that header file, right? So why we are using here, why we are using stdio.h header files and why we are using conio.h header files here? The basic reason is why I'm using here for, like, okay, let's say why we are using stdio.h first. So I'm just putting my mouse here and I'm pressing Control F1, and we can see in case if I want to include these functions, then I need to include these stdio.h header files. So which functions I am going to use here? I am going to use printf function here, this one. So where is this function in this stdio.h? If we go, see, here it goes. See, this is printf function which I am going to use in this program, and this is why I am using stdio.h header file. Further, if we click on printf, we can see the format declaration and everything here. And this printf functions belongs to stdio.h as well as stdio.h also. Okay, and why we are using conio.h here? Just click the conio.h. I mean, just navigate to conio.h and press Control F1. You can see these are the functions which belongs to conio.h. And why we are using here? Because I want to use CLR SCR function, and here you can see CLR SCR functions too. So to include this CLR function, I have to include this header file conio.h. Alright, so this is about why I am using these two header files. Now what is void main here? Okay, in case of any questions, since this is not a live class, you can just write down your queries and do post me on my email ID, which I have already told you is learn via elearn@gmail.com, or you can include me on your Skype ID and you can chat me. Okay, now what is this void main? See, void main, basically main is a collection, is a collective name given to a set of statement. This name has to be main, it cannot be anything, and all the statement that belongs to main are enclosed within a pair of braces, like here as I have shown, like all the statements belong to this main function should be comes under this pair of braces. Okay, and what is void mean? Basically, if I go technically, this main is a function, and every function has a pair of a parenthesis associated with. So that's why I am using main as a function with a parenthesis with no return type. That's why I am using void here. If I remove void, for example, just a second, I need to write like return 0 or something, right? But most of the times we won't require any return type, so that's why we use void main. Okay, so this is about what is void main here. Now let's compile and execute this program. Before that, uh, let me tell you how to save this program. Just press F2 or go to file and then click on save, and this is the location, C tc bin and then bin, and here let's say hello world, and then enter. Okay, now this program is saved. Now I want to compile and execute the program. For compilation, press Control and F9. I have just pressed Control and F9. This program has been compiled. Now if I press Alt and F5, I will see my output, right? I have just pressed Control F9 and then Alt F5. Okay, if you want to see the what's the compiling do, what's the compiler do, I just press Alt F9. Okay, it will give you the window saying, okay, what's the name of the file, what the file is compiling, how many lines are compiled, warning and error, right? And in the last you can see the strategy is success. Press any key to continue. So I just press. Alright. So now one more thing. Why I have used clear screen here? This function is basically to clear your previous output. Let's say for example I comment it out. Now okay. Now see what happened. I have just commented it. So I have pressed Ctrl F9 to compile and then Alt F5. See, my previous output is still there, right? And let's say if I uncomment it, I'm sorry, Ctrl F9, Alt F5. See, my previous both outputs hello world has been cleared, and now only one output is there. In case I want to print my output in two separate lines, I just use /n, Control F9, Alt F5. Right? So in this way, I can write multiple line comments, multiple line if I want to print. Okay. So this is all about the basic C language program, and how we have how we have printed a very basic hello world, and understand the all the statements which is required with basic fundamentals. Thanks for watching with us, and let me know in case of any queries or questions. Okay, bye for now. Thank you.